MovingPlot, how to get your stuff set the way it should be set. Here we have our sample data and results. You can see that we have our columns of change in time, change in displacement, distance or displacement, average velocity, instantaneous velocity, change in velocity, and acceleration. Once you have these, it's time to start making your data and results look nice, fit nicely on a page, and get your graphs. If you don't have these set up yet, do that first. There's a file that you can download that shows you the formulas and the setup for each of those on my website. So the first thing we want to do is take a look at where we are. You can see that this is very wide. We're going to try and fix some of these things up and make it look a little bit nicer. So the first thing I'm going to do is start up here and shrink the size of these columns. I want to shrink the size of these columns so that each of my setups, my whole data table setup, can fit onto one page. And right now that's not happening. You can see where this is a little bit. If I do this, you can see this blue dotted line right here that's showing me that it's not going to fit on one page. An easier way to see that is to come to View and check Page Layout. When we do that, we can see again that we have not just the one page, but the second page. Acceleration's fitting over on the second page. So I need to shrink some of these columns a little bit more so that I can fit all that in on one page. Now I'm getting pretty close. One of the things I can do to help, you'll notice I have some pretty big margins over here, and I can also make some other things look nice along the same way. So I'm going to come to File and go down to Page Setup. I'm going to start by taking a look at my margins and make my margins to be about a ½ inch all the way around. I'm going to leave a ½ inch header on there for a little bit later. Where did I miss? Oh, I got 2 decimals over here. There we go. Header and footer. I'm going to put in my header here so it shows up nicely on my sheet. You of course can use these buttons over here to change the font size and type and those kinds of things if you would like to do that. And as long as I'm here, I'm going to come over here to Sheet and make sure I have grid lines checked, so I have these same grid lines that we see on the screen on my printout. Now as I do that, you can see I have everything set up. One of the problems I have though now, my sample data is right on top of here, so I need to come back over here to Page Setup and increase my top margin so that my header can fit on top of my data. Now I have my data looking pretty nice. You can see that it's fitting all on one page. So now I'm going to save that. Remember to save often. Have things looking pretty good. I'm going to come over here and just double check. That whole row is bolded, so it's nice and set up. Set off a little bit. We have all of our units in here, and my data is now ready to print out or to copy and paste into a different document if we want to do that. Our next task now is to start doing graphs. We don't want to mess with this. It's too easy to mess up this data as we start doing graphs. So I'm going to select all of that data that I have. I'm going to come up here to Edit and Copy, and of course you can use these shortcuts that are over here, the Command C. It's a Windows C on the Windows keyboards. Copy all of that, and I'm going to set up a new workbook so that when I mess up my stuff over here, I'm not messing up my original data. It's always important to keep that original data separate. Now in this space I'm going to paste, but not a normal paste. I'm going to paste special, values, not all, but pasting values. The reason I do that is I can now do things like delete that column, and all the rest of the stuff stays here. If I didn't, just very quickly, if I did a regular paste and I came back and deleted that same column, you'll see I now have errors all over my sheet. So in order to be able to do things with this, what I did there is do the undo things a couple of times to get back to where I was. I want to paste special. Values is what I want to paste. Values only, none of the rest of the stuff that's there. I'll also check over here, formats, and I'll leave it there, values. What I want to also do is come in here to this column specifically and change that format these cells to be number with 1 decimal place so that it looks a little bit nicer as I'm looking at this. Alright, back over here. I'm not going to need this first column for anything that I'm going to graph, so I'm going to come over to edit and delete so that column is now gone.